Okay, so we live. Okay, so hello everyone. Yeah, welcome to today's webinar section. It's our Security Awareness Month, and we'll be having some awesome security awareness series and brought to you by Cyber Safety Media, and it would be an interesting one. We are kickstarting our cyber security awareness webinar today, and I'm Double Two Bricks, as you all know. And for those joining us for the first time, I'm a cybersecurity specialist and also a blockchain security examiner. And so in the studio, we have some awesome cybersecurity practitioners who will be giving us some awesome tips today. So, firstly, we have Daniel Olokoda, yeah, a security specialist. Yeah, is an highly recommended security specialist in a team. And Daniel, over to you. Oh, we can't hear you. Your mic. Unmute your mic.
Okay, my name is Daniel Lokode. I work with TD Africa currently. I manage a cybersecurity solution. I am also a cybersecurity speaker. Really interested in cybersecurity and talk anything regarding cybersecurity.
Yes. So they'll be they'll be giving us some awesome tips, and we also have Felix in studio. Is a security analyst. Felix, over to you. Felix, are you there?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Buluwatife Felix. I'm a cybersecurity enthusiast. I started my journey some, let's say, 3 months back. So I work with Active Tech Technologies at Lekki Phase 1, Lagos. So I manage a patch solution, which is Big Fix. So I've always been someone that I really love to impact and pass knowledge in all simplicity. So I've always wanted to be a speaker, someone that's able to pass knowledge to people in simplicity and inspire people to do more. So nice to meet everyone.
Okay. Yeah. And they are part of our awesome community, Cyber Safety Media, and they'll be giving us some security tips and security talks on impact of insider threats in cybersecurity. That would be our topic for today. So sit tight while we give you some mind-blowing tips. So you can get a recorded version of the section after all said and done, and also do well to tell us where you are joining us from, and also interact with us by dropping some questions in the comment section, so you will get some stuff much more clearer and would demystify them for you. So we've been hearing about the word Cyber Safety Awareness Month for a while, and we'll be asking ourselves, what is the Cyber Security Awareness Month or Awareness Month? We enlighten and highlight the importance of safeguarding critical infrastructures from malicious cybersecurity activities and protecting citizens, also citizens, businesses, companies from ransomware and other forms of attacks. Yeah, so and the major importance we have, that let's say the cybersecurity awareness month brings to us is it helps educate users, educate employees, companies, and lots more about malicious methods used by cyber criminals. Yeah, so how can they identify and mitigate those security breaches, or let's say malicious activities that are being targeted to them, and how to spot potential threats, yeah, and what they can do to avoid falling victim to these threats that are being posed on the less aware people. So one of the importance is every organization, regardless to the size, yes, they can benefit from cybersecurity awareness training. While it is very important to have a security policy in place, Yeah, it is not sufficient to prevent data breach. So cybersecurity awareness trainings help employees understand the importance of compliance with security policies and assist them in identifying suspicious activities. So employees who are cyber aware, yeah, would be able to recognize when there is a breach in the network and would be able to report it immediately. So we can you can just say an employee which is aware of cyber threats or cyber risk, yes, would have a greater or higher possibility or higher chances of, yes, mitigating cyber threats. So being curious to know why the month October is being placed to be on the cybersecurity awareness month. So since let's say 2004, yeah. So the president of United States and the nation's Congress, they came to a conclusion. They decided that okay, October would be a special month carved out for a cybersecurity awareness month. Yeah, so helping individuals to protect themselves online as threats to technology and confidential data. And this year campaign theme is see yourself in cyber. So it helps demonstrate that while cybersecurity may seem like a complex subject, okay, ultimately it's really all about people, how they accept the knowledge, how they implement it. So it is highly said that cybersecurity is not a product, it's like a process. Yeah, so it's about the people, how they adapt to cybersecurity awareness. So before we jump to the major topic today, so we'll be talking about some quick ways to improve um, cybersecurity awareness before we give the the studio to our speakers. Yeah, so one of the best ways to improve cybersecurity awareness, you make cybersecurity a part of your community, or let's say your company, your onboarding. Yeah, so an easy way to establish a cybersecurity awareness or a strategy is as a high priority amongst employees. Yeah, to make it a part of their onboarding process by educating employees on their roles and responsibilities when it comes to upholding informations and sensitive data, or let's say when it comes to information security, businesses can build a robust defense system against cyber threats. Yeah, so however it's impossible, or let's say yes, it's important to note that um, cybersecurity training shouldn't end once its onboarding session isn't completed. So regular promotion of cybersecurity needs to be part of your business strategy to build awareness. This brings us to the next point. So before we move on to that, we'll be inviting our first speaker to give us some insights about the impact. Yes, so like I said, the topic for this webinar section is the impact of cyber insider threats in cybersecurity. So we'll be giving our first speaker to tell us what insider threats is. So over to you, Daniel. What are insider threats in cybersecurity? Give us some info about it before I proceed on the best ways to improve cybersecurity awareness.
All right. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
talking about insider threats, before we get a full understanding of what insider threat is, let's just understand what the word insider is with regards
Okay.
to cybersecurity. So, an insider is actually any person who has or had authorized access to
Okay.
an organizational resources or information or network or system. An insider also is not limited to a person that is working directly in an organization. It could be some other people who are working indirectly with an organization. How do I mean? What we mean here is we have people like people like contractors, an organization's partners. These are people that work with an organization. They may have some level of access in the organization. These are also regarded as an insider. We want to take an example of a developer that is working for an organization. So this developer is being hired by a particular organization, and there's some level of information or data that is exposed to this developer, although he's not directly employed by the organization, but because he has that access to those information, to those data, we can also regard this person also as an insider. So having understand what an insider is, we now want to look into what it means when we say insider threats. What does it mean for the word as the word insider threats? So insider threat is actually the potential of an insider to use their authorized access to gain access into an organizational asset in a way that would negatively affect the organization. So what we are saying here is that, please, can you hear me? Okay, so what we are actually saying here is if any person uses their legitimate access knowingly or unknowingly to negatively affect the confidentiality, the integrity, or the availability of an organization's security systems or data, we can refer or regard that as an insider threat. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So Daniel has given us a very good foundation, which we've been waiting for to lay before proceeding to the next part. Yeah. So back to the ways to improve cybersecurity awareness before we give the space for Felix to give us our next line. So the next way to improve cybersecurity awareness is to conduct regular cybersecurity trainings. Yes, so most organizations and users feel cybersecurity trainings are something which they don't need to pay attention to. Yeah, so it isn't just the role of the IT department to to place the trainings or the responsibility to maintain cybersecurity in the company. So every employee, regardless to their position, needs to make or to be made aware of the latest threats. Yes, in cybersecurity or in the world of the Web 2 or the Web 3. So how to recognize them and how to prevent them is one thing which they really need to pay attention to. So well-trained employees plays a crucial role in every effective cybersecurity strategy. Yeah, so let's say internal security awareness training programs would help boost the overall awareness surrounding the cybersecurity ecosystem, or let's say the company itself, and it would give the employees the confidence and knowledge needed to recognize cyber threats and appropriately, let's say responding to it is another way it helps, and how to prevent cyber threats, as well as the process of escalation. However, it's something very important to ensure that cybersecurity training isn't just a one-time practice. Yes, some people run cybersecurity trainings once in 6 months, and some companies run cybersecurity trainings once in a year. So it's something which needs to be done regularly. It needs to be conducted regularly. Yeah, so doing this reinforces the importance of cybersecurity and builds a security aware culture in your organization. Yeah, so giving an employee all these are the first line of defense when it comes to cyber attacks, and having them well trained can greatly boost your organization's defense system. Yeah, so moving to the insider threats, we have the Mr. Felix, who will be giving us the common types of insider threats. So, Mr. Felix, would like you to enlighten us about the common types of insider threats. Yeah, are
Yeah,
you there?
yes. So, yes, I'm here. So, insider threats in cybersecurity. So, we have various types of
Yes, please be audible
insider.
so we can hear you well.
Yes, we have various types of insider threats depending on the understanding and let me say different researches. So, we have people that kind of classify insider threat into unintentional and intentional, and also we have third party. Now, what do you mean by unintentional type of insider threat? Are those ones that are caused as a result of negligence and they are sometimes accidental. And also we have intentional ones which are run by people that deliberately cohabit with people either outside the let me say the organization, or deliberately do it themselves just to spite the organization. So also some people classify insider threat as to be, let me say, to be pawns. They classify them to be pawns, the groove, the collaborator, and the lone wolf. So I'll just take it from who the pawn is. So all these can also be grouped under a pawn can be grouped under a pawn can be grouped under unintentional. So they are employees, they are type of employees who are unaware, they are unaware that they are being manipulated, or they are performing actions that are malicious, like downloading a malware, you probably download the movie, connecting to the wrong fi, connecting to a free Wi-Fi, all those kind of things, using an external USB around the server, all those kind of things. So we classify them those ones as pawns. You know, in chess, there's what we call pawns. Pawns are those ones that are kind of they are the first set of people that they are very, very, let me say, susceptible to be kicked out of the chessboard. So they are pawns. So we also have proof. There are those people that we classify as those ones that are ignorant. They are also you can also be classified as unintentional. So they are ignorant and as well as arrogant. Now those ones that feel that cybersecurity threats do not exist. For let's take for instance, let's bring it down to our personal person. Some of us feel that we should not secure some of our bank cards, our ATM, and some other things. Just put them around those kind of things, just because we feel that we don't have enough money. So you can classify those kind of people as ignorant and arrogant. So there are users who believe that they are exempted from security policies out of convenience and incompetence. So, when it comes to an organization, let me say like an organization like let me say the Nigeria Bureau of the Nigeria the Bureau de Exchange. You know what I mean by Bureau de Exchange? So we have people that have been with this organization for like 30 something years, and before probably the threat of insider threat came into existence. So when you're telling those kind of people to take preventive measures to avoid to avoid um, to avoid cybersecurity threats, they might not want to take it serious. So those are the kind of people we classify as ignorant. So we also have the collaborator, which can be grouped into intentional. Now the collaborator are those ones that cooperate with outsiders. In terms of terrorism and those kind of things, they collaborate with outsiders like the employees competitor, and the nations and states to commit a crime. So those ones, they are fully aware of the severity of what they are carrying out. So I believe I'm being heard well enough. I believe I'm being heard. Can we hear me?
Yeah, we can
Can
hear
we hear
you.
me?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I'm sorry about the background noise. I'll soon leave that environment now. So now we also have the lone wolf. The lone wolf is just often person does it for financial gain. There was a time that they said some set of people hacked into Bitcoin to extract
yeah.
only Bitcoin, or I don't know if it was Bitcoin. So those are those ones that we classified as lone wolf. So for financial gain. So they act independently and maliciously without external influence. So sometimes the collaborators act with the collaborators, they act with malicious intent and external influence. Probably someone is holding probably their family member, we watch them in movies, all this kind of movies, the kind of thing that you have to do this or else. Those are the ones that we call the collaborators. They have to just collaborate. And some people intentionally collaborate without anything being at stake. So we have a lone wolf which independent they act independently, malicious intent for financial gain, for financial gain. So because and also what you must understand is that a good number of cyber insider threats are caused by the privilege, are caused by abuse of privilege because there's always someone that has privilege to access some privileged information, so confidential information. So those are types of insider threats that we have. And depending on researches, people tend to name these things, but I feel that it can be classified as intentional, generally as intentional and unintentional. So depending on the type of research carried out, people tend to name these threats different, let me say different titles, depending on how best they can relate with it. So that's what I kind of that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, Mr. Felix, you've given us some very interesting common types of um, insider threats. Yeah. So, with the common types of insider threats, so Mr. Daniel, please tell us what the causes of insider threats in cybersecurity and organizations.
All right, thank you so much. So a whole lot of things actually brings about insider threats in an organization, but we'll just classify them based on some particular motive, with regards how this threats, insider threat actually works. So we would talk about what we refer to as emotion based, emotions based. So what we mean here is that if an insider is depressed, if an insider is frustrated,
I'm sorry.
or if, please, can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Excuse. I'm sorry.
Felix, can you unmute? Can you mute, please?
Please mute your mic, Felix. Okay, you can continue, sir.
Okay, so we have what is called emotion based reason, such that if an insider is depressed, if an insider is frustrated or angry based on the situation in the work environment, in the workspace, there can actually be this high likeliness of that insider acting maliciously, such that in some cases, if this employee is fired, for example, immediately this insider is fired, that can actually bring about that thought of, because of that emotion, how heartbroken this employee is, this can actually lead to them wanting to, negatively affect that organization. So emotion is one thing that actually can lead to insider threats. So if an employee is depressed, is frustrated, is angry about the situation in the organization, that can bring about that insider threats. Another thing is also finance. This is financially based in the sense that if an insider is in need of money, of course, money is actually a very big motivator for insider threats, because they know that if they leak a particular information, if they give out some important data of the organization, or they give access, to some other people, this can actually give them or make them a whole lot of money. So if these threat insiders, or if these insiders are really one such that they are in need of money, they really want to improve their situation in life, and they are really looking for opportunities to exploit uh, the organization. This can actually cause them to become that insider threat for an organization. Another reason also, or another cause with regards insider threats is, if we could still remember, talking about the types of insider threat, we talked about those that are unintentional. So, and one of the reason is because of lack of knowledge or understanding of the infrastructure in the organization. So if we have employees that are not well trained, they can actually abuse data in the organization, which is unintentional to them. So these are different ways in which, or these are different reasons for insider threats that leads to insider threats. Another last reason also is misplaced technology. Misplaced technology in the sense that which also leads to unintentional insider threats, whereby an employee can just misplace their tools, their tools in which they use in working, in the organization, whereby exposing the organization's data or information to outsiders. All of this brings to that reasons why we most times have insider threats.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much for that interesting talk. Yeah. So you and Mr. Daniel and Mr. Felix, you guys have said something very profound. So moving on, we'll be taking our third points on how we can improve cybersecurity awareness in line with the already flowing section which we have. So we'll be saying another way to utilize cybersecurity awareness, or let's say improve, is to utilize cybersecurity drills. So like a cybersecurity drill is a great way to test an organization's defense system, and specifically their employees. Okay, the employee ability to respond to quickly to potential threats in a simulated environment. So cyber drills are simulated cyber attacks, typically run by an internal or let's say external team that tests a business security or an organization security measure. Okay, so different types of cyber security drills are out there that Jews can challenge a different set of employees and skill them up. So, for example, we have a phishing simulation. Yes, just like we have the Microsoft phishing simulation where you simulate phishing attacks and other platforms that enable that. So it simulates a phishing attack to test employees on their alertness, or how active they are when it comes to identifying and avoiding phishing scams. So besides that, based on how employees yes fall for the simulated attacks, phishing attacks, and an organization can determine whether more attention needs to be given to phishing during the next cybersecurity training. So the simulation helps position the trainers on how to implement, or let's say structure their upcoming cybersecurity trainings. Yeah. So however, whether their resources can be spent, yes, to strengthen the security awareness surrounding other aspects of cybersecurity and their organizations. So bringing to this part, over to you, Mr. Felix. So what impact does insider threat have on organizations?
Okay, insider threat has various impact which cut across the value of the company, the operations, the reputation, the culture, and causing the company to be a liability. Now, the value of the company. Let's take let's take for instance, let me say the IBM. The IBM is a very big. How do I say it now? A very big technology company in the cyberspace. So now, let's say for instance, through insider threat, the IBM is being breached. Their value on the marketplace will automatically drop. We automatically, like the likes of Uber, when they were breached, their value, the standard they kept automatically dropped. So it leads to loss of value. Now, in terms of the quality of the business, people, the market value, we have the market value will diminish, which I already talked about, the intrinsic value. Now, the intrinsic value is depending on the value of the business, like the intellectual property. People might not really want to partner with them to do so many other things. And also the revenue of the company diminishes. The revenue of the company diminishes automatically. There was a case in America in which um, a superconductor company in America resulted into a insider threat, insider attack led to loss of over $800,000 worth of dollars in revenue, according to them at that time. You understand? So that company almost went down the drain. So also it leads to their operations. There's a down in their operation. They have to down tools. They may have to probably let some people go, reinstate, start training again, all those kind of things. So the impacts are numerous. Also, we have it disrupts their operation. When they already have somebody that's in charge of this, now to start training, it might take probably a good number of months for the new person to get established into what he should do and what he should not do. So those are some of those things. Also, it leads to increase overhead. Now, another thing, there'll be need for them to retrain and all those kind of things. So they'll spend much more. Also, it leads to unplanned costs. Now, there also one very important impact is their reputation. People do business with reputation. Cybersecurity is related strongly to business. They do, like, let me say, if somebody's attacked now, there's a way that you want to relate to that organization because you're not sure of their vulnerability state. You might not really want to commit so much to them again. So their reputation, their integrity diminishes as a result of cybersecurity, the threat caused by insider threat, the impact caused by insider threat. Also, we have the liability. They become a liability because when their market value diminishes, nobody really wants to invest in them. Nobody really wants to partner with them to do business to take them to the next stage. So those are some of the impacts of cybersecurity insider cybersecurity threats. So so many employees might feel that it's just something they should take with levity, but over the years, it have seen that one of the highest rate of cybersecurity attack have been caused by insider threats because somebody was just negligent about one thing or the other, and it dropped probably a loss of systems kind of things. So the impact cannot be overemphasized. So I'll stop there for now.
Okay. So yeah, moving on, we still have some few points on how to improve um, um, cybersecurity awareness. Mr. Felix, thank you for that awesome one. So we still have some few points on how to improve um, cybersecurity awareness. So next we have implementing, or let's say to implement a robust cybersecurity policy and procedure. Yeah. So what I mean by that is that they need to ensure that a robust cybersecurity policy and procedure are in place. Yes, so it's an effective method of improving cybersecurity. Yeah, so a cybersecurity policy is like a document that it outlines that um, each employee's let's say it responsibility for protecting the information security uh, or let's say in of a business or an organization. So a cybersecurity policy defines the standard of a behavior, or let's say a standard of behavior for activities such as social media use. While you work in a company, you must be regulated on how you visit social medias with company devices, and use appropriate exchanges of sensitive data also via emails and other aspects of the internet, assessing let's say working applications when working remotely. Yeah, so and also password management. Yeah, so by defining and promoting what the best practice should should bid for activities like the above, which I outlined. So what the impact, or let's say the consequences, can be, it would be less, and it won't be like it's supposed to be when the policies are not being implemented. Yeah. So moving on, we we have the reasons. Okay, so we'll go by Daniel. Daniel, you'll be giving us what are some causes of breaches, and what caused them. Okay, let's say you'll be giving us some causes of data breaches and breaches in networks, and how they are being caused by insider threats. Your mic.
All right, thank you. So we would be looking into some case studies, some ways in which or incidents that has actually resulted because of insider threats. Excuse me. So what are some examples we have? We have the case of Chicago Public School. This actually happened in 2018, whereby a former employee who was even a temporary IT worker, she actually stole 80,000 data, that is filled with all the employees' information, all their birth dates, their criminal histories, all the records, she actually stole this. And the reason for doing this was just because she was just angry for being fired in that organization. So she was retaliating, actually. Again, we can see that one of the reason for an insider threat is because of the fact that some people, because of how they could not control their emotion, or they can't control their emotion, they are angry. They want to, ensure that the organization suffers in one way or the other. So that is actually one case. Another one also was with the fact with the one that happened in Atlanta, also in 2018 also, and IT admin who quitted his job because management brought in there's a new management actually in that organization. So because of that, he actually quitted his job, and because he had a whole lot of access to the IT infrastructure in that organization, remotely, it was just disturbing this new set of
Management.
management. It was
Yeah.
he encrypted their informations. He even had to shut down the company's central command server. You understand, which took about 2 days for this organization to rebuild, and it's actually cost them a lot. It was a very serious incident. Then this particular man was fined and he was sentenced to prison. It was really something very serious. Another case also was in 2018. This is a popular brand we know, Coca Cola, whereby an information of 8,000 individuals, was also exposed. This was because of an employee who also got fired, and that employee wanted to retaliate again, So we can get to see that the motive, behind insider threat is it has, it's actually a human factor, yeah. It's a human factor of which because of emotions, this insider threat actors actually they try to penetrate and to cause damage in the organization. And lastly, I would also want to talk about Trend Micro. This was a case that happened in 2019, whereby these insider actors, these are employees in the organization, they actually stole data of about 68,000 customers for this organization. And what did they do to it? They actually sold it. We can see that the intention behind this is because of money. So that is actually these are all incidents with regards insider threats. It's a very serious um, thing with regards to cybersecurity that organization needs to take seriously.
Okay. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Patrick. Yeah, um, Mr. Patrick is asking for guidelines. Please make it more clearer. Guidelines on what aspects, so we'll give you an answer to your question. Yeah. So yeah, thank you once again, Mr. Daniel, for that awesome talk on some cases of breaches caused by insider threats. So one of the ways, while we continue, one of the ways to improve our cybersecurity awareness also is to make cybersecurity training programs engaging. So some cybersecurity training programs are very boring. So implementing regular cybersecurity training programs can be made more effective by ensuring that the content is much more engaging. So yeah, so repetitive trainings, or let's say repetitive programs that are entirely made up of written content or slides can be much more boring, or let's say desensitive to employees to the importance of cybersecurity. Yeah, so there are several ways to make these programs more engaging. For example, let's say you including video content, let's say gamifying learning through interactive activities, and also competitions among employees. So these are one of the ways you can stir up the trainings, or let's say a reward. Yeah, a reward system for identifying threats successfully can can also be a a major way of increasing the effectiveness of cybersecurity training program. Hence, improving cybersecurity training programs would be boring, like I stated earlier. So spicing it up would want to boost the learning spirit of employees, and also ensuring that uh, senior management uh, promotes cybersecurity. So senior level management within a business must adapt and model appropriately to the cybersecurity hygiene. Yeah, so by displaying behavior that is expected from employees, or let's say leaders. So the leadership can set the tone, so they can set the tone and the standard for the whole company, and helping let's say build a valuable and a proper cybersecurity awareness culture in the community. So yeah, so would be given let's say 10 minutes for questions while we wait for Felix to be in the studio. He's having some network issues. So if you have a question which you would want us to touch on, so let it roll in as we wait for Mr. Felix. Okay, so while we wait for him, the question goes to you, um, Daniel. So what can you advise on how organizations can mitigate insider threats? So how can organizations mitigate insider threats to your own opinion? Your mic, please.
Sorry, I keep forgetting. All right, thank you so much for that. So really, when it comes to insider threats, it has more to do with the humans. It has more to do with the employee. The people that have this access. Into the infrastructure of an organization. And again, insider threat is really difficult to know or to even fight against.
To
Very
detect.
very
Okay.
difficult, because really, for other threats or some other threats, these attackers would need to penetrate into the organization. They come through the network. It could be from the endpoint, you know, just to penetrate. And of course, organizations are ready to, fight back these attackers from the outside. How much more those that are inside? So it's a very difficult fight. It's a very difficult fight. However, there are things that we can also look into, that would help to mitigate this particular challenge for an organization. And one of it is I would highly recommend that HR, the human resources in an organization, they work hand in hand with the IT security experts or admins in the organization. How do I mean? Because this particular challenge or this particular threat has more to do with the human factor. So HR, which is in charge of managing the affairs of the organization, especially with regards the people, managing people in the organization. So HR really needs to communicate very well with the IT personnel. In that, if an employee, for example, is about to leave an organization, because sometimes most of these insider threats comes through, let's say, we heard of some cases now, like in the course of this particular topic, we've had some cases. So some of these insider threats came up from former employees. So what happened to the access of those former employees? Why was there not a way to, to remove these employees from, the management or the identity and access management tool in the organization? So, again, if an employee is about to leave an organization, the HR of that organization should communicate that immediately to the IT personnel or to IT personnel, such that they get to remove the access that this employee has. It is very important that they get to revoke that access. Very, very important. Also, of course, HR should, or the organization should also always treat their staffs very
Staff.
well. It
Yes,
is very
that's
important. The affairs of
very
the,
important aspect.
you know, exactly. It is very, very important, because if you don't treat your staffs very well, they get to
Trade out
um,
information which they
exactly.
have access
There's
to.
this level of behavior that comes into them, even if it's something they've not been thinking before, but because of the
Yes.
way they are badly treated, they start to think about different ways to exploit the organization. So really, HR has a whole lot of work to do. To working with IT admins, very, very important. So another thing is also training of employees, which is very important for unintentional insider threats. Our organization wants to ensure that they train their employees on how they can manage their tools, the tools in which they use in working, so that they don't give out access to anybody. They ensure that they use their assets very well. Another thing also is third parties. Organization want to ensure that, in as much as external people are coming into the organization to do one or two things for the organization, and they are giving some level of access. Let's say, I in the course of this webinar, we've been talking about, I spoke about a developer. I gave an example of a developer. You know,
Yeah.
so an organization is bringing in a developer into the organization to come and do one or two things, and this developer is giving access in a way, or giving, or is provided a data, for example. So it is very important that organization ensure that these third parties, once they are done with whatever activity they want to do for the organization, they get to revoke the access, for these developers, so long as they are done with the contracts or anything they want to do, so that these third parties would not also come into the organization to cause havoc. Another thing also, lastly, that I would also want to talk about is the identity and access management. of an organization. Insider threat has more to do with access. These are people that already they have access into the infrastructure of an organization, and what they want to do is they want to sell out this access, or they want to sell out information of the organization. So an organization access and identity management tools they use is very key. They want to ensure that they monitor it. They want to ensure that, because access in itself also has life cycle. It has a case, a beginning phase, whereby a new employee gets into an organization, they get to add this employee into, the information system. They also have a case whereby maybe there's a shift in position for this staff. They get to give that employee access also. So, and also a case whereby the employee leaves the organization. Once an employee leaves an organization, please revoke that access. Very important. Stop that access. Ensure that this person no longer has access to the organization. Because
Yes,
most times,
that,
again, HR gets to forget. They forget about this person having access, and before you know, there's problem, from this person.
yeah. So revoking access should be part of the company policy, which
Yeah,
should
very
be
important.
documented, and also part of the agreement while signing the employee. So while the signing in is going on, the policy which governs the employee should be while the termination of job goes through, all materials and sensitive information should be highly revoked. Yeah, so
All
from
right. That was so profound, Daniel. I just want to add a
very
few
point.
things to. Yeah, Mr. Briggs, thank you for the wonderful session. I'm not supposed to show my face, but there are salient key points, certain you know, concepts and implementations that organizations should take cognizance and conscious note of. And I'm going to be mentioning them. Please, if you're on this call and you are part of an organization, part of an information security um, department, or just take this back to your organization. Very key. And I'll be adding to what Daniel has listed. Right, there is something called segregation of duty. Segregation of duty. That is the ability for you to make sure that every employee has limited access to resources as according to their job role. That is, you do not give, and segregation of duty can be implemented using the principle of least privilege. That is, you are not giving an employee more than the access that he needs to perform his duty. That is very key. We call it separation of duty or segregation of duty, anyone you want to call it, right? Separation of duty or segregation of duty. There are certain duties that individual employees, based on their access level, based on their job roles, they don't have access beyond what responsibility they are performing in an organization. That is one. Number two, talking about onboarding, offboarding, and all this, as he has said, the HR must work hand in hand with the information security department or team. Now,
Yeah,
while an employee is leaving the organization, there's something we call exit interview. Exit interview. Now, most organizations don't do that. You just say, oh, you are going, you are leaving. Okay, sign, you are gone. Exit interview helps you to assess. Even while you are performing the interview, you'll be able to see beyond what the person is talking about, or beyond the words that are coming out of the person. You'll be able to see if this person is planning anything, or there will be questionnaires that would actually assess every aspect, and make sure and ensure that the person hand over very well, like all the access and everything. Of course, revocation, but what about any other thing that maybe like logic bomb that is being planted in one of the system or anything? During the exit interview, you'll be able to, you know, determine this or detect this, right? And apart from that, job rotation. These are the very, very key control implementations that you can, put in place in your organization to reduce the risk of insider threat. Another point is job rotation. That is, as time goes on in an organization, every individual should be, given the ability to visit every other department at some point in time. So it's not that you are in IT department for 20 years and you have not been, you have not been given a job in another department just for, somebody to be able to audit whatever you are doing in that department for the past years. Job rotation. Then there is enforced compulsory vacation, where you will have to leave everything at work. And then these are very key, control implementations. These are controls that you can implement in your organization to actually monitor and then detect if somebody has any ulterior motive, if an employee has something is planning and he wants to do anything. Because the next person that is coming to take up, your work for the few weeks or for the few days you'll be spending at the vacation, that person will be able to see if you are doing any fishy thing and they'll be able to report to the management. Another thing is auditing. Audit logs. Audit logs. That is logging every activity and everything that employees perform on the organization's network is very important. And then talking about auditing, you have to make sure that even people that have privilege escalation access, that is the all those admin accounts, all those super user accounts, the people in charge, you make sure that you have set up your system in such a way that they will not be able to delete audit log or even edit audit log, including the audit log, the log that's the log of their own activity on every system in your organization. I believe with these few, very key salient control implementations, you'll be able to reduce, even while the insider threat, threat is going on, or the activity is going on, you'll be able to detect and then you'll be able to respond as appropriately as possible. So that's what I just say I should add. I'm going to get my face out of the studio now. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't think you'd be, Mr. Shogu, you'd need to come back and answer a question because Felix is not active. Okay.
All right, all right. What's the question?
Yeah, okay. So Patrick is asking a question. So internal or external auditors, the threat might not be associated to one in some cases. Okay, is it? Are you telling or you are asking, Mr. Patrick? Okay, let's go to Mr. Toluron, a bit Toluru. Okay, so he said, please, can you throw more light on how to improve insider threat awareness? Is it awareness or insider threat security? Okay, yeah, so
Okay,
Patrick say
yeah, if it is to throw more light on how to improve the protection of insider threats, I think I've listed, coupled with
yes.
what Daniel have talked about before, I've listed a lot of controls that you can implement in your organization.
Yeah, so and I made some points on how to improve also to make cybersecurity a part of your onboarding, conduct regular cybersecurity trainings. You can also
Yeah,
utilize cybersecurity drills, implement robust cybersecurity policies and procedures, make cybersecurity trainings and programs engaging also to employees, and lastly, and ensure that senior management they promote cybersecurity awareness and programs in the organization. So we'll be
Then
entertaining more questions. We have
all right,
less time.
Patrick said something. Patrick said external auditors are sometimes the best. Of course, external auditors are the best, but they
so
don't come every now and then. Sometimes they come once in a year to come and audit. So what happens between the beginning of the year and maybe the middle of the year when external auditors are coming? A lot of things that would have happened if you don't implement
We
the
have gone wrong.
controls you
Yeah.
get. A lot of things. So is yes, we know we are not disputing that fact, but there are certain controls you must put in place before external auditors come,
Exactly.
right? So when they come,
Even
of course, even the exceptions they will be able to see or identify will even be lesser because you yourself in your organization you've implemented a robust, you know, security program that have reduced so many risks in your organization. Thank you.
Okay, so Ben Carson is back to his question. He said, "How um, can we improve insider threat security?" Yeah, so that was the question he was asking, and I think we've brushed on that already. So we won't be going back to that. So more questions can come in. We have less than 5 minutes to wrap up and end the session. So we'll be having our remaining. Okay, so policies are always there. So the control implementation is always where we have lapses. Bye.
Yes, it's correct. Yeah, that's the
yeah,
implementation of the controls. Yeah.
Yeah, so Mr. Felix is having technical issues. He's supposed to wrap up with same talk that uh Daniel laid emphasis on. What
yeah.
can you advise and how organizations can mitigate insider threats? So while we don't have him in studio, okay, so
Hello, can you hear
Okay,
me?
Felix is back.
okay, so Felix, we're about to wrap up, but we'll give you the time to talk about how organizations can mitigate insider threats. So Daniel already gave some profound and premium talks about it. So just throw more light on it on how organizations can mitigate insider threats.
Okay, I like to talk about automation.
Okay.
Now, automation of access. Just like the way you can authorize access depending on your status in the company, you can also automate an employee's access once he leaves the company. So with Big Fix is a solution that has the capability of doing that. So once you're on leave, we use okay. Don't let me start saying technical terms. We use the
No, you can
adapters
use
and
technical terms. So we'll definitely
yes,
break it down
yeah.
deeply.
So we use okay, sir. So we use the adapters and the Active Directory to do those things. So for we work with majority of the company, my firm we work with banks. So once anybody goes on leave, once he sees that there's a query that he sends that once the person goes on leave, the HR knows that once the person goes on leave, there's a way that the Big Fix product automatically knows that this person is on leave and it immediately takes off the person's ability to access the server, almost everything. It pauses it. So now where we used to have issues sometimes is when the person comes back. So that can also be attributable to when the person leaves the company. So when the person come back, trying to reinstate the person back into the environment sometimes is always kind of difficult. So also you can automate the process. Once this person is going on leave or is going leaving the company, automatically person access should be disabled. So automation to helps in doing those things. So also another way in which we can do that is through coming. Now Mr. Shegun talked about knowing the motive of your organization. Now also we can through knowing the motive of our organization, the motive for them leaving. Sometimes Mr. Daniel talked about the fact that a school teacher, a temporary school teacher, did something like that. So if there was something called an exit interview, also it could also work. Interviewing why you leaving, all those kind of things, and also log. I was like, those are, I think they are more generic things. So logging and being able to, and also there should be division of access. Only one person should not have access to a particular server, like a particular part of the space. Should not have let me say authorization. Only one person should not have authorization. Such that in the day that you leave the company, and probably you're out for some time, another person can go back there and just look through and just feel that okay, there are irregularities in this. So with that, you'll be able to checkmate. Okay, there should be check and balances. That's what I'm going to say. There should be check and balances. So can you retrace the question again? Can you retrace
Okay,
the question
so
again? How to
okay,
mitigate, right?
yes, on how organizations can mitigate insider threats. So okay, before I wait, can I come in? You talked
Okay.
about you and Mr. Shogun talked about logging of files. So in a case whereby the employee is let's say a savvy and he clears off the file, how can you mitigate that process of clearing off a log file?
Okay, that's what I was saying, that there should be check and balances. Only I think the like what when there's too much authorization given to just one employee is a danger, is a big danger, because he can do he has so much authorization such that he can do some things that will not be trackable. So when they check and balance such that okay, this employee has access, at least probably two employees has access to the same, let me say, the same server. So automatically, through that, if if an employee deletes through his authorization, there's a high percentage that the other party we all also know that okay, something is missing here. So check and balances helps to evade such, and also check and balancing in fact that okay, if just like okay, let's bring it back to the banking sector, like counter sign. Okay, you have to sign for me to sign. Do we get the analogy right?
Yeah,
We get the analogy right. So
yeah,
if probably you are trying to probably let me say, lift a particular amount of money, or you are trying to do something, and if I don't verify it, just like probably okay, if I don't authorize it, you can also do it, and if you don't authorize my, I can also do it. So you can give them equal autonomy to that, equal access to that server, such that okay, in data you want to delete a log, just like the big fix. I'm talking about big fix because that's what I use. So just as the big fix, there are some files that you cannot delete alone. There has to be authorization, like two or three admins has to sign in to do this, to activate that same process for it to work out. So those are steps in which you can do that.
okay, so yeah, we've had an hour in the studio and we need to wrap up. All questions being answered. Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for the wonderful insights showed in impact of insider threats in cyber security. And also, Mr. Felix, thank you for your awesome knowledge, which has been added also. And Mr. Shegu, thank you for hopping in and giving us some interesting points. So we'll be having some series of webinars during this month, which is our Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and our upcoming topic, which we'll be having on our webinar, would be on how to manage, or let's say, reputational risk and brand protection. Yeah, so that would be our next talk. So if you missed this, you can still get the recorded version and go through it. Till we meet again, I remain Double Tubo Bricks, and in the studio, like I said, we have Daniel and Felix, our awesome security experts. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Ben
you.
Cassie.
Thank
Yes,
you so much.
for your interactions and
Yeah,
engagement. Till we meet
everyone.
again. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye everyone. You are great.